George Conway.
Molly Jong-Fast.
Uh,
Fancy meeting you here.
I have a
Are you in a
question for you.
box?
I am in a little MSNBC box. I want to
Are they
ask
gonna
you a
let
question.
you out?
No, I live here now. I want to ask you a question, George Conway.
Yes.
I want to start by talking about Donald Trump versus the Pope. So the Pope says peace is good. Donald Trump basically gets offended because he's like, "How dare you say peace is good? That is obviously an insult to me." And then Donald Trump basically goes to meme war with the Pope.
Yeah, it's surprising that the ostensible winner or the person who would award himself the Nobel Peace Prize would criticize the Pope for advocating peace. I just want to let that irony
Yes.
sit there for a moment, and that's one of the many ironies.
That was a brand he
Um,
was experimenting with earlier in his presidency.
So we're no longer the
In
president
the
of peace. We've decided to become the president
isn't there?
of I will annihilate whole civilizations.
Yeah. I think
All
those
makes very sense, very much sense. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
I
Yep.
think the FIFA people are gonna want that Peace Prize back. The
I
soccer
the
Peace
FIFA
Prize.
the FIFA Peace
Yes.
Prize. Yeah,
Which they made up for him.
yeah. I would ask for that back. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And then
Um,
he will tweet at them.
he will go to war with FIFA.
Yeah, but it's hard. FIFA going to war with FIFA is hard because they're in like every country. So you have to basically declare war against the entire world and bomb all their soccer stadiums. I don't know if that's feasible.
I mean, I don't think you should give him any ideas. So
Yeah,
I
okay.
would
Yes,
I would love
I'm not in charge of giving Donald Trump ideas. That's not my job. I agree.
so you are actually a real Catholic. You are.
Yes,
You're a real Catholic. You grew up
yeah, I mean,
Catholic.
I'm baptized a Catholic, confirmed a
Yeah.
Catholic. Am I the Pope? No, by no
No.
means. Am I,
But you have a
am I
real
a parish
serious
priest? No.
no, but you have a serious relationship to the Catholic Church. And I'd love you to talk about
I don't
you
know, a little above average. I don't want to overstate
but
that.
you grew up in the Catholic Church. That's fair.
Yes, yeah. I attended 1 year
And
Catholic school, and the nun pulled my tooth out once. That's
right.
that's kind of a rite of passage. I was
So
complaining about a toothache in first grade.
yeah, see, there you go. But anyway, the point of this story is Donald Trump not really a Catholic. Discuss.
I Discuss. He's not really a Christian of any sort because is and represents and does everything we tell our children not to do. To be selfish, to have a lack of empathy, to hurt other people without remorse, to steal, to lie, to rape. He's a bad man. So it really isn't surprising that he has a problem with the Pope. He would have a problem with Moses, with those 10 rules, those silly rules on the tablet. Those rules are directed at him. They're
Yes.
so unfair.
So
Yes.
JD Vance is
JD
a
Vance.
Catholic convert, right? Correct?
Okay.
Yeah, I
I
mean he has
so
a
I'm
book
told.
he has a book coming out about Catholicism. He has
Is that the book with like the Presbyterian church on it
yes,
on the
it
cover?
is. Yes,
Okay.
yes, it is. Now,
Right.
not a ton of attention to detail here, but JD Vance is also he's had a pretty bad weekend. Like end of the week, he went to Hungary to help Viktor Orban lose by a pretty incredible margin. And then he went to Iran where he was unable to do anything.
Yes.
He didn't go
Absolutely.
to Iran, he went to
He
Pakistan,
went
but
to
he
Pakistan to negotiate with the Iranians, but he's negotiating basically with no cards because he has no cards because Donald Trump threw them in a giant fire and we
right.
have no cards left because basically it used to be once upon a time the Iranians would comply with some of our requests at great after a great amount of effort because for example we could bomb the shit out of them.
Yes.
So we could bomb the shit out of them, we could impose sanctions on them. So that's how we ended up with their commitment in the JCPOA not to enrich uranium. Trump tears that up, puts the sanctions back in place. So if you're the Iranians, what you're thinking, well, we're getting the sanctions anyway, so why not enrich the uranium? And so they
Yeah.
do. And
Yeah.
then the other thing that they've never done is interfere with navigation in, in the Straits of Hormuz, Strait of
Which is
Hormuz.
20% of
Percent of the
liquefied
world's
natural
oil. I
gas.
mean, it was
Yeah.
never in, or 20% of, yeah, and it was
And a third of the
never.
world's fertilizer or a fifth of the world's fertilizer, something
It's bad.
crazy.
It's very
Yeah.
bad, and they never did that because they knew that we would bomb the shit out of them if they ever
Yeah.
did that. And it's not really in their interest because oil, they don't, they need to sell oil too, and um, but we bombed them anyway.
Right.
So what are we? And then they withstood the bombing. We took out an Ayatollah and replaced an old Ayatollah with a new Ayatollah who's
Ayatollah.
younger and more
And
energetic.
and
And there are many
angrier.
other and angrier,
And
yes, and
yeah.
and there are lots of Ayatollahs left. So what are we going to do to them now that they withstood the thing that we threatened, or they always didn't want us to do and wanted to avoid? If we've done that now, what leverage do we have over them now?
Yeah. Yeah.
None.
None.
So JD Vance is the perfect person to send to this negotiation because you don't want to send, he's doomed to fail and he's the perfect sucker to go and
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah. Is Donald Trump's vice president the worst job in American politics?
I think any job for Donald Trump is the worst job in American politics. Certainly, you wouldn't want to be, for example, to pick something that somebody may have to do, be his attorney general, because you
Right.
absolutely cannot, at least with vice president, you don't really have a job.
Mhm.
So if you can kind of stick to not having to do anything, it could very easily be the best job in the Trump administration. Problem with some other jobs is that you're actually responsible for stuff and he can blame you for it. But now he seems to be putting all of this on Vance. So Vance will take the blame if the best deal the US can get is essentially capitulation to the Iranians. So that maybe I don't know why he chose Vance over little Marco. I really don't. It's precious weird that the Secretary of State is not conducting these negotiations.
It is a little bit weird, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Why do you think it is?
I don't know. I have no idea. I really don't.
So I would love you to talk about, we're seeing this blue wave building up from
Yes.
all of the different ways. The Cook Political Report moved a bunch of Senate seats
Hmm.
from, toss up to lean Dem or from lean R to toss up. Ohio, Sherrod Brown, North Carolina, a lot of movement in the
Yes.
Senate map. What do you think's going on here? And what do Republicans do with this?
They can't do much. They are basically being lit up by Donald Trump. I mean, remember last year they couldn't go and have town halls. Had to stop doing that. This year, some of them aren't bothering to run for reelection. And finally, we're seeing some serious cracks on the right among right wing influences who are basically not had it with Donald Trump. They're basically saying he's crazy. They're basically saying he should be removed under the 25th Amendment. And so things are not going well for the Republicans. And they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because if they criticize Trump, there are still plenty of fanatics who like him. But if they stick with Trump, well, then they lose a lot of people who Trump is right now losing. And I mean, all of it's finally coming home to roost. And I explained this on MSNBC on Saturday morning. The problem with Donald Trump for these people is Donald Trump is a moron, an idiot, a lunatic. I mean, he understands all of that at some level. And so he creates his own reality to pretend like he's competent. And that is the reality, the fake reality that he's conducted his whole life. He's a great businessman when in fact, he bankrupted any number of companies and he kept himself going because his father created this cash cow of apartment buildings out in Queens. And so he's created his own reality, and that was useful to people on the right because Trump hated the same people or professed to hate the same people they hated. It was a way of owning the libs because the liberals got so upset at Trump. And Trump stood up to some extent against things that they didn't like, or at least they thought he did. The
Yeah.
problem is that, having this left brain that is connected with reality and this right brain that has to adopt this fakeness, it creates this cognitive dissonance, is what psychologists
Right.
call it.
Right.
And that creates a lot of stress on the mind and on the emotions. And now that he is actually doing some things that are completely insane, that even they can't rationalize, and in fact, that they particularly dislike, like this war, the
Right.
cognitive dissonance is becoming too strong for them. And also, he's become less useful to them. And so
Right.
now people are kind of cutting and letting loose on him. And that's happening with the Megan Kellys and the Joe Rogans and the Tucker Carlsons. We're seeing a lot of that, MTG. And we're seeing a lot of the influencer types, the formerly true red MAGAs, um, basically attack him. And now you still see polls. I mean, like, he's going down in the polls as the less committed people who voted for him are basically done with him, especially the Hispanics that he won over very briefly.
Yeah.
And then you still have some people who are going to say they're for Trump when a pollster calls because that's just their habit. It's been their habitual way of identifying themselves for the last several years. But deep down, they're very, very upset. And I know somebody whose mother was saying that she was very, very depressed, and the mother was a pro-Trump person, but she wouldn't tell her child what exactly she was upset about. And it's like that Saturday Night Live skit
Yeah.
with the mom who's basically saying, "I now realize I made a mistake."
Yeah.
And so we're seeing basically the collapse of Trump and the collapse of MAGA republicanism. It's happening at an accelerating pace. It's something that I would have thought should have happened 5 years ago, if not
For
7
sure.
years ago,
For
but
sure.
it's finally happening, and I think it has a lot of ramifications. One is there is going to be a blue tsunami this year,
Yeah.
because I don't think Trump is gonna turn this around. I think he's so disconnected with reality. He's so far gone mentally. Not that he was ever there, but he's now
Right.
he's basically forsaken reality. He's not listening to anybody who's people who are trying to tell him like he's ruining the world for his Republican friends. So I think we're going to see a blue tsunami. And the other thing that I think is, and this is the thrust of my campaign, which is we have to get rid of this guy. We have to impeach and remove him. And it's not separate from all the issues that we need to address on, on an economic level for people here in this district and elsewhere, because we can't accomplish any of that until he's gone, until this criminal regime that acts only in his best interest instead of the interest of the people, that spends money on ICE instead of on health care. We have to get rid of him, and we're not going to survive 33 more months of what we've seen the past 15.
Yeah.
And one response to that, whenever it has been, well, they're never going to remove him. The Senate is never going to do that. We've been through this to go twice, blah, 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 blah. This time is going to be different because they're done with him. They are really, really done with him. And they're going to be even more done with him in a few months. And the fear calculus of the cowardly Republicans who have been shamefully forsaking their duty to the country and their oaths of office to kowtow to Trump, even though he trammels on the authority of Congress and violates the law left and right and commits high crimes and misdemeanors. The fear calculus for these cowards is going to run the other way. And
Yeah.
so, as I watch this, I really do think the conditions are there for a political democratic renaissance that involves the impeachment and removal of this criminal. Now, if there were a presidential election this year or next, that would do it too. And we would have a situation like we saw this weekend in Hungary, where it finally came, a Magyar won this election by going out to the countryside and explaining to the people how the criminality and the corruption was hurting them personally and
Hmm.
economically, which is exactly what is happening in the United States. But we do not have an election until 2028, and we cannot. I don't know if the world can survive the damage that this one psychopath has done to the world economy, what he's done to our democracy, what he's done in the last 15 months. So I think it's going to get somewhat worse before it gets better, but I think we are going to be able to rid ourselves of this evil man sooner rather than later. I think sometime in 2027, we will be done with him. I'm becoming increasingly optimistic about that. That being said, it's going to be a tough year to year and a half. And putting back together Humpty Dumpty that Donald Trump kicked off the wall, everything from the Justice Department to the economy and
The
to our
foreign
politics,
aid,
our broken politics. Oh, right. I mean, everything.
USAID, yeah.
Is USA, you name it. The damage has been substantial. And it's going to take years to fully recover. But I think we're going to be, I think we're going to make it. But I think we're going to have a difficult year. And I think people have to be determined. They have to get out to vote. They have to get other people out to vote. They have to get out on the streets, and they basically have to exercise their civic duties and responsibilities to defend our democracy like ever before, because this is the moment of truth. Because he's going to get, and he's crazier than ever, and he's going to get more dangerous than ever. We saw that with his threats to destroy a whole civilization. We see that he's already planning to do things to affect the 2026 midterms. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but we can see the signs that he's destroying his own base, he's destroying his own credibility, he's destroying his own power. And even though that means he's more dangerous because he's going to be more desperate, I think we can see a path, a difficult path, but a path that can be traversed with great determination.
George Conway, will you come back?
I will always come back. How many times have I come back? Have I ever failed to come back?